transition. I'm going to start this over because somebody forgot to unmute his mic. How's everybody doing? What up, though? Welcome to the Hyphen Universe show. This episode, in case you missed it, because you did, because I was muted, is brought to you by LaCroix Tangerine Sparkling Water. Not for everybody. Because if you don't like sparkling water, you're not going to like this. Just saying. I am your host, though, Kellen Conley, a.k.a. B Hyphen. How is everybody doing on this fine day? I mean, we had some amazing weather today. It was like 70s. It was like a little tease. I know it's March, but I get worried because you know what they always say about March? If it comes in like a lion, it's going to go out like a lamb. So now that it seems to be coming in like a lamb, it's going to go out like a lion. Yeah, like I just said. And that means snowstorms, world ending. Who knows? Who knows? But for real, y'all, I'm feeling great. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling fantastic. And I hope you are too. Happy to be here with y'all for another edition of the Hyphen Universe show. And I had no topics, and I suddenly have 4. So let's get right into the events of the day. If you're hearing this on audio form, it'll be yesterday's events. Facebook went down. And I can't lie, as much over the years as I have trashed Facebook and be like, oh, you know, I hate Facebook. I don't need Facebook. It's just an invasive part of my life. Don't need Facebook. Did I mention I don't like Facebook? I'm going to deactivate Facebook. I'm not going to use Facebook. As much as I'm anti-Facebook, one, I love Instagram. So there's the hypocrisy right there. Hypocrisy? Here's the hypocrisy right there. Yeah, right there. I'm a big old hypocrite. That's what I'm saying. That might be, instead of big old freak, we might just call this one big old hypocrite. Shout out to Meg Thee Stallion, man. Big old hypocrite. That would be me. But yeah, went to go on my Facebook, and I've had like 2 or 3 attempts saying, you requested a password change. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. If this wasn't you, let us know. And I let them know 3 times. So I was worried. I was like, all right, they might have gotten through to a certain point, but no big deal because smart. I decided to do the 2-step authentication, take it a step further and set it up for my Google Authenticator, where Google, my little app, will actually give me a 6-digit code that no one else has access to unless they're on my phone. Smart. And I went to go do that. I put in the code and it's like, no. I'm like, oh God. Oh God. Oh God. So I was like, all right. Maybe the code had already switched over. Let me get another one, put it in again. Nope. So now I started to panic. I'm like, okay, this is literally doing the math. I got on Facebook 2005, I believe. Jeez, oh Pete. 19 years of my life that is chronicled on that stupid website, and I was afraid I was going to lose it all. So I tried the text message to get the code. No code was coming. And then the app's telling me, we sent you a push notification to your Pixel 8 and your Galaxy S9. Shout out to the S9, man. What a trooper, man. Shout out to my S9. Look at that case. That case still fire. Case still fire. Shout out to Black Panther too. And nothing was working, so I'm like, oh man, I've been hacked. They got in. This is bad. I've lost everything. I'm about to start over. So I'm panicking. I'm big panicking, guys. So I was like, all right. Let me go to Twitter. Good old Twitter, despite its owner. Facebook down immediately. Did everybody just get kicked out of Facebook? 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 So I'm like, all right. Okay. So Facebook was down. And after that, it was cool. I was like, whatever. I couldn't get on Instagram for a little bit. It's not like Instagram hadn't gone down before, which again is my favorite app. I don't know why I love Instagram so much, but maybe I'm just a visual kind of guy. And because I'm a visual kind of guy, I like to see the pictures and the videos and share to my story a million times. I'm that guy. If you follow me, I posted my story. Let's get the podcast 101 going here. I post my story several times a day. And just today alone, this is a light day for real. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 stories just today, which isn't that bad. Let's go a little deeper. I'm gonna dig just a little bit deeper. We're gonna check my archive, which shows me all the stories that I posted. So let's do for yesterday, the 4th. There's 6, there's 9, there's 12. So 12 yesterday. Sunday, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 20 stories on Sunday the 3rd. And Saturday, it was later. It was 9, 10, 11, 12. So the point is, your boy goes in on the stories, and I just love me some Instagram. But it's funny how freaking attached we all are to that damn app and that website. And it's like, you hate getting notifications. You hate, anybody else get those highlights now where people will add highlight because they're trying to do something? I don't know. They'll be like, hey, if you add highlight this, it'll be you could win something, so you should totally do this. Has anybody tried that? And then immediately you go to check it out, and it's just like for nothing. And it's like the same thing when if they do at everyone on Discord or on Facebook now. Excuse me. Whenever I do that, it's from this delicious LaCroix. What do you expect? What do you expect? I'm a man. I'm 41. And you get those notifications and you hate them. You get all these group notifications. The feed shows you suggested posts more than people you follow. And every single day you think, why am I on this app? What is the point of this website? It literally ruins lives. It has before and it will continue to do so. Thanks, Zuck. But then the moment I thought I was losing it, I was nervous. I was nervous, man. And shout out to some of my friends like Ivy, who is Angel's cousin, and her lovely husband, BG. They always host me for Extra Life when I do that every year. And also my Extra Life is up and running. I don't have a dedicated webpage to it, but you'll be hearing more of that in the future. My goal was 1,500. So this is the first time that you're hearing about it. But the goal is 1,500 this year. Goal was 1,000 last year. I got close. But I didn't make it. So the goal is 1,500 now. And we're starting fundraising as soon as I get this blasted webpage to work on my website. So more to come on that. But she got hacked, lost years and years and years of stuff with her son and their family, and she has no access to it now. I don't even know. I would assume her old page still exists, but she can't log in. She has no login. And then same thing happened to my man Eric, Handsome Bane. He went to log in and locked out. So he had to start a new one. And this has happened to countless other people on Facebook. And it's becoming a more common thing I used to think it was like more older people because they were more vulnerable to getting hacked and things like that. But nah, man, it's everyone. Anybody can get hacked. And I was very scared, very afraid that I'd lost 19 years of my Facebook life. Even though every single day I look at my memories and I delete the stuff that I feel like is obnoxious from when it wasn't that long ago, folks, when I was like 28 and I'd post something dumb and obnoxious, I'd delete that. And when I would try to cross-post stuff and it doesn't show up now, like I try to keep a pretty clean timeline as far as what's on there. But the main thing is the pictures. The pictures I'm tagged in, the pictures I've posted. Yeah, I have a backup of most of the things I've posted, but I don't have a backup of any of the things I've been tagged in. So it's super important for me to be able to maintain that stupid Facebook page, man. So shout out to the fact they got it fixed. Everything seems to be operating efficiently again. And shout out to the fact thoughts and prayers to anybody who was affected by this, like myself. And also, at work today, I was like, I told my coworker, like, hey, Facebook's down. Oh man, like, and people were genuinely like not in tears, but they couldn't get on Facebook, couldn't use Messenger, couldn't use Instagram, which I was working, so not so much of a big deal because I use my I have something called focus mode on my Pixel where it will not allow me to use, won't give me notifications from certain apps unless I unlock it and like take a break, and that's normally going from 9 to 5 at work, and so I wouldn't normally be using those apps as much unless I'm on my lunch break at work, so it wasn't a big deal for me. But thoughts and prayers, everyone affected. I hope you got through this, and it's going to be okay. I promise. I promise, man. So I spent more time on that than I thought I would. So we're going to bounce from that into my recommendation for this episode. One of my recommendations. There's a gentleman named Craig Wilson. And for years, he wrote a weekly column for USA Today in the life section. It was called The Final Word. And literally, this man would write about whatever struck his fancy. So it could be about traffic. It could be about getting the brakes changed on your car, doing car maintenance. It could be about his pet. It could be about as small thing as the dishes that dinner is served on. And every time my dad came home from Winchester, because I lived in Cambridge, he worked 20 minutes away in Winchester, and probably about 93, I started getting more into sports and stuff, and Dad was like, hey, I can bring you home. They always had the paper at work. I'll bring you home the sports section. And I was like, cool. So from there, he accidentally, I don't know, it was an accident. One day he brought me the whole paper or something. And if you remember how USA Today used to be when it was cool, journalism's dying. It's a whole thing. Shout out to the streamers who get people to come on their shows. Good for y'all. But I agree with Elliot on that one. Journalism's dying. It's been dying. But allowing these new forms to come in and take up the space in the journalism realm isn't helping print or in helping print journalism whatsoever. But I mean, I digress. It's been a dying medium for 24 years at least, since at least the turn of the century. Just saying. But I digress. There's 4 sections to a USA Today. It's very small now. This joint used to come out daily and be 75 cents, I believe, and it was thick. It was big boy. Nice thick paper, right? So you have your first section, which is like all the news. So it'd be like world news, national news, all of that. I was 10 years old. I didn't care. Didn't need that section. Next section is about money, which is about all the stock markets and investing and all that stuff. I'm 10. I don't care. I'm 10. I don't care. Sports section was third, so that was the C section. So that was no pun intended. That's where I normally would start my reading evening. Crack that bad boy open. I'd read every word, top to bottom, about every sport there was under the sun. Read all those box scores at the back, and it wasn't finished. I read every word on it. I'm a reader. And then he brought home the life section, which was like the entertainment section. Surprise. Entertainment section of the paper. And every Wednesday, Mr. Wilson would have this little article, his column, and I loved that little column. I just always thought it was so great that that this writer had front page space. It was bottom half, but still front page space right there on the life section, the biggest newspaper in the country, and he's just writing about whatever. He's like, whatever, I'm chilling. On top of that, not only did I always think Craig Wilson just had he had a great way of telling stories in a very small amount of space. It's like 500 words minimum. But I mean, he probably, let's say 500, 700 words is the max every time. And I just love these columns, man. And I've read them for years and years. And in 2002, I believe, he collected them into a book. That's what I'm trying to say. He collected them into a book. And the book is called, that is the wrong phone. That's what I get for pulling my Galaxy out. The book is actually called It's the Little Things. And it's just a collection of his stories. It's broken up into 4 parts by season. So it's some of his favorite columns over the years for each season. It's a really easy read. I got it on off eBay. Sorry. Amazon for like $5. Not bad at all. And it just immediately threw me back into that realm of being a kid and looking forward to Wednesdays and being able to read his column. And they still hold up, man. He talked about going to open houses and how much fun that was and how he would do that on weekends. And then there's another story in the book about his love of rocking chairs and Adirondack chairs. I probably said that wrong, but Adirondack chairs, whatever. Yeah, and how he loves porches and how he loves wood stoves and chopping his own. I don't know if he said chopping his own wood, but how he appreciates a wood pile. And excuse me, again, this is LaCroix. All of those things, he would just sit down and talk about them, man. And the book is full of those. And again, it's an easy read, but I absolutely enjoyed the hell out of reading that book again. And I wish it hadn't ended. And there's still some of Mr. Wilson's work on usatoday.com. When they went digital, his column was printed every week up until he was essentially laid off in 2013, 2012, something like that. And he's like, instead of him being like, oh, I'm going to do something else, he's like, yeah, you know what? I'm getting older. I'm going to retire now. I'm going to take this little pension and just stay at home with my husband, Jack. So, yeah, and he's gay. So, being a gay man who's writing this column every single year for the nation's newspaper, his last column is still up, and he talks about some of the fan mail he received over the years. But he got a lot of hate because he didn't hide it. He never was asked to hide it. He literally went in like my partner Jack. He never went into detail, but he never hid the fact that his significant other was a man and that he was gay. So that was one of my first exposures to an out queer person, I suppose, on that level. I didn't think of it much then. I mean, I was an open-minded kid reading these stories. I dropped my pen. I was an open-minded kid reading these stories, but, stories, columns. But looking back, I mean, that's a huge deal. So before I keep talking them up, man, like, if you're interested in the book, I don't know if you can borrow it from your library digitally or anything, but like I said, it's $5 for the ebook on Amazon, and I really liked it a lot. I flew through that thing. I would have went faster if life didn't prevent me from reading. And so I highly recommend it. It's The Little Things by Craig Wilson. And also, Mr. Wilson, I know you're watching this. So if you're watching it, I would love for you to come on the Hyphen Universe show and we could talk about your career and what you're up to now. And just tell you how much influence you had on a small black kid who was stuck in Cambridge, West Virginia, who happened to stumble across your column in USA Today. So that'd be real cool. Next topic. I wrote down 2020 experience because, damn it, I love the first 2020 experience. But this is going to be a real brief recommendation because there is a whole episode on the Hyphen Nation feed. It's like in the 40s. It was leading up to when Justin Timberlake was going to do the Super Bowl. And then, of course, he's gross. We know what he's done to Britney. We know how he threw Janet under the bus. And, of course, he what I was angry about at the time was the fact that his first 4 albums, which would have been Justified, Future Sex, 2020 Part 1 and 2, were all R&B pop albums. And then suddenly when he's going to do Man in the Woods, he's like abandoning the genre. So the same thing that Miley got a lot of hate for when she made the Malibu album. I want to say it was Malibu. I know Malibu was on that album, but whatever album she made in between Bangers and then the EP that she put out in like 2019, whatever that time frame is when she put out that album, Younger Now, whatever it is. Maybe I'm thinking about her whatever. Everybody's like, oh, Molly just used black culture to get ahead. Everybody's saying the same thing about Justin. I was highly upset because I thought that was Justin's bag. And I really thought he shouldn't be abandoning it. And then plus, I took him to task for being a piece of trash. I didn't cuss. So I wasn't happy with him at that time. I listened to Man in the Woods. It was everything I thought it would be, and I was not happy. So I just kind of tended to step away, and then he did too. He went and did some Trolls movies. Um, he was already married to Jessica Biel. He's had some kids, but he's got this new album coming out soon. And I'm going to check that out to see how I like it. I like the song "Selfish," and I'm going to check it out. I mean, like, oh, what? But he did this to Britney. Yeah, he did this to Janet. Yeah, I know. Yeah, inexcusable what he did to Janet, and inexcusable what he did to Britney too, for real. But I'm probably gonna check out that album. You heard me last episode. I'm not a great person. I listened to one R. Kelly song. Throw me under the prison. Not with him, though. I'll get peed on. But I don't really need to go at length about 2020 Experience Part 1. I just feel like it was a really good album, especially for the time off he had between Future Sex and that album. So if you're interested, quick recommendation, 2020 Experience Part 1 by Justin Timberlake. I find it to be a phenomenal album. There's a lot of songs on there that I really like. And from top to bottom, I don't think there's any skips. So, second recommendation, go check that out. If you're so interested. There, I talked about 2020 Experience. That's all I got for it. I don't have any more energy past that. It is what it is. It is what it is, kids. Last topic, though. And I don't know how much I got for this topic either, but it just crossed my mind as I was getting ready to sit down. I remember my first, honestly, it was my first sneakerhead shoe crush. Everybody who's into sneakers has their first crush when it comes to being a sneakerhead, man. And there's some great ones, like, of course, the Jordan 11s was a big one. The Foamposites, which I do have my first 2007 retros up in the closet that I dropped $296 on, and I don't regret it at all. Another favorite of mine, the Air More Up Tempos. I love those things to this day. Might be my favorite pair of shoes I've ever owned, and I need to get another pair because when they retroed in like 2008, I feel like they were retroed. I beat the hell out of them too, and they didn't even make it past a year. They were my everyday shoes. I love those shoes. What a great pair of comfortable shoes, man. Other shoes that come to mind, the Sean Kemp's, the Reebok Sean Kemp's. The questions. The question ones. My favorite Iverson shoe. One of my favorite shoes of all time. Going back to Jordans. Love for the 14s, the 13s, and the 12s. Got some love for the ones, but of course they're the most popular Jordan shoe now, so they're cool, I suppose. I'd still like to have a pair of ones eventually, but not really too pressed. My first shoe crush, though, was the Jordan 8s, the playoffs. What had happened was, and I hope I didn't tell this story on Hyphen Nation, because now that I think about it, I remember there was a segment where I definitely talked about shoes. I don't know if I shared this, but this is a new pod anyway. So, Richmond, Virginia. Picture it, Richmond, Virginia. I am 10, at least 10, and this is 93. Yeah, I'm 10, and this is before the retirement, after the Bulls have beat the Suns. Me and my dad, and I believe my mom too, we walked into an A&N. Is that what it was called? Podcasting 101. Let's see. A&N store. Or maybe it's A&M. I bet you, because there was one in Winchester, A&M shoe store. Oh, that's gonna drive me crazy. Wait, is it? No. I can see the dang store in the logo, but it's not clicking. Went into the store, and they have sports apparel, and I was checking out some shirts. May have gotten a shirt from that store too. I may have gotten a Bulls championship shirt on this trip because we were in Richmond to see my aunt and uncle. And so we're just out shopping one day. And then I looked up at the shoes, and normally my dad kept me in a nice pair of shoes, but he didn't go too crazy. But I looked up and I saw the playoff 8s, man. And they were the black and reds, and then they had like the white section at the bottom with the red and black, almost like permanent marker on them. And the number 23 was on there, and they had Velcro on them. And I looked at Dad, I was like, please give me these shoes. Now, I don't know what they retail for in 93, man. I don't, but I'm going to assume they were over $100 pair of shoes. And my dad was like, there's no way in hell, in his head, he didn't say this to my face, there's no way in hell I will buy you a $100 pair of shoes at 10 years old. And then my dad proceeded to tell me that all the way up until age 18. I had nice shoes. They were always Nikes. Always Nikes. But it was my mom who bought me my first expensive pair of shoes, which was a question 1. That's what I went to college in Kaiser. It was my question 1s. And I was like, please, 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 please. He's like, I'll think about it. But those shoes, oh, they spoke to me. I mean, I knew they were Jordans, but they were just so good. And now with all the other different shoes that have come out over the years, whatever number Jordan we're on now, I mean, I can't remember the last time I looked at a current Jordan. It's been at least a year or two. Those were the ones that really stuck out at me. It was like, hey, I see you looking. What's up? Why don't you mosey on over there to your dad and be like, hey, Dad, buy me these shoes, because you know where I belong? I belong on your feet. On your feet. That's where I want to be. On your feet, Kellen. They spoke to me. And so I spent a good chunk of the weekend just looking at the idea of finally getting these shoes for the first time. Looks like we'll need another $296 if I was going to pull the trigger on that. But man, those some good looking shoes, boy. So that was my first sneaker crush, man. So I would love to hear what your first sneaker crushes were. So reach out, let a brother know, all that stuff. Because the Hyphen Universe Show is brought to you by Hyphen Podcast Group, bringing great podcasts to the people. HyphenPodcastGroup.com. You can find Hyphen Universe Show wherever podcasts are podcasted. If you cannot for some reason, you got to let me know, and I'll tell you in 2 seconds how you can do so. But first, if you're listening to this on Spotify or on Apple Music, Apple Podcast, and you're enjoying the show, if you're enjoying the show, ideally, give the show 5 stars, leave a review, I'll read it on the show. If you don't like the show, you can say that too. I'll read it. I can take criticism. I haven't cried yet on this podcast, so why not? Why not do it live? But if you have any reason to reach out to me, if you want to let me know what your favorite sneaker crush is, if you want to let me know you can't find one of our great shows on your favorite podcast listening platform, here's what you do. b-hyphen@gmail.com. That's BHYPHEN at gmail.com. At b-hyphen on Twitter. Hyphen Universe on Facebook. And the b-hyphen on Instagram. You can reach out to me on any of those, and I'll respond. Or if you want to be one of the cool kids and do it through Hyphen Podcast Group, Hyphen Podcast Group at gmail.com, Hyphen Pod Group on Twitter, Hyphen Podcast Group on Instagram and on Facebook. Easy as that. And I will get you taken care of. Okay? Cool. The power of positivity is real. Get that negativity out of your life, no matter what it may be, no matter what you have to do. You got to do you. Always. Always. Regardless. And with that said, while you're moving negativity out of your life, make sure you're letting the people who are still in your life how much they mean to you. Tell everybody who you care about that you love them. You never know when it's your time to go. So it's very important. Give people their flowers while they're here. Okay? All right, man. So I gotta give an apology, man. Apologies. I had a couple guests who was supposed to be on the show this week, but apologies to Derek Jeter, man. We're running out of time, so we'll have to try to catch you next week. But yeah, you know, things just move so fast here at the Hyphen Universe show. It's just hard to keep up with. So apologies to Derek Jeter. Next time, Jeets. Promise. I promise. But for real, y'all, appreciate each and every one of y'all listening to the sound of my voice. Any of you who are clicking this on a video format or on audio format and listening to it, appreciate you taking the time to listen to me talk about Facebook being down and my Jordans that I love first and Craig Wilson's book and a little tidbit about 2020 experience. Because honestly, it's a good album. I don't have anything else left to say about it. I could sit here and be like, man, Timbaland and Justin Timberlake did the thing. But obviously, the second one, you can miss me with that one. Man in the Woods, you can miss me. And this album, whenever it comes out, which I think it's March 15th, actually, you can probably miss me with that one. I don't expect to be wowed or floored. But I do like Selfish. So, good for you, Justin. Good for you, bruh. But, yeah, man. Appreciate y'all rocking with me as always. Always a pleasure. And thank you. So, I said thank you like a dummy, but I say all that to say this. Thanks, y'all.